Good morning. Welcome to another episode. I've been looking forward to today for a long time because autumn is finally here, I think, and autumn is my favourite month to photograph woodland. The colours this year have taken a long time to appear, and actually some of the trees still haven't turned colour. I think it's because we haven't had a really cold snap. Winter or autumn has been quite warm, so it's an odd kind of thing, but some of the trees have definitely turned. Most of the horse chestnuts are turning. We have some beech trees turning, and I've come down to a wood that I've never been to before. Actually, it's a forest. It's a place called Epping Forest. If you live in England, it's on the outskirts of London, and I'm being guided there today by a very old friend. Actually, he's not very old. He's just been a friend for a long time, and his name is Chris Shepherd. And Chris is a really good all-round photographer. I wouldn't think he'd call himself a landscape photographer, though he does do landscapes. I love his architectural stuff he shoots in London. It's wonderful. He does street photography, a little bit of landscapes, portraits, you name it. He does studio stuff, close-up, macro work. He just enjoys the hobby of photography. He also runs a camera club, which I've spoken at, and he also does lots of camera club talks himself, which are really interesting. So I've covered for Chris a few times where I've been called into work and I'm unable to do the camera club talk. I've done that for him. So we've also had a couple of exhibitions over the years, something we haven't done for a while, and Chris ran a website called Images of Essex, which coincidentally the BBC latched onto for some images of Essex that they needed. So Chris and I have done some work for them. I photographed the northern end because I'm right at the northern end of Essex. Chris is at the southern end of Essex, and another guy called Kevin, who good child, who was in the middle. So it was quite a nice little team of photographers. But I haven't seen Chris for a while. I speak to him quite often on Twitter, or X as it's now called, so follow us along there. I'll put all Chris's details in the bottom in the comments of this video so you can check him out. But looking forward to meeting Chris. I'm going to meet him at his house. He's then going to take me to Epping Forest, and I've got no idea what I'm going to be faced with, what I'm going to be photographing, apart from the fact that there's going to be trees. But I know there's big ancient oaks in Epping Forest. It's a forest that's been there for many thousands of years, I think. So I really enjoy working with other photographers. It's really interesting seeing what they see. I learn a load from it, and also comments in the videos I've really enjoyed. I've had some comments from people saying you should have done this, maybe why not think about that, how about this as a technique, which I've really enjoyed listening to. I mean, I've dismissed some of them. There's something I don't really like, it doesn't really suit me, but it's greatly appreciated. It's definitely a good way to learn. And this video I'm going to try and shoot. I'm going to try and show you a scene and see whether you can pick out an image from that scene, because that's what I enjoy doing in videos. Other people's videos, I often say, well, why can't they see that? So let's have some fun with it. It might end up being a two-parter because I don't want this video to be long, and I suspect we're going to be here for a while. So this, in that case, will be part one. Part two coming up next week. Here I am. So it's been amazing already. I've already seen a load of roe deer disappearing into the distance, which Chris says you don't see very often. So that's already been magical. The light's out, so the sunrise is here. The light's risen, and I don't know whether you can see that lovely old tree. I mean, I've seen loads of pictures already, but we've walked past them in the dark, as it were. So we're going to go back. So this is the first shot. Going to just stand out the way. And as I said to you in the car, see what you would photograph here. It's not quite fair because you can't see everything and you can't walk around it, but I've walked around this tree. And what's attracted me obviously is the colour, and
it's against the greenery in the background. So backgrounds I find are quite important to show things off. But we've got some lovely silver birches on the left, and there's a lovely old oak tree. And Epping Forest has got some fantastic old oak trees, so hopefully we'll see those as we go along. But have a little think, and then I'll talk to you about how I'm going to photograph this. Okay, so we've got a polarizer on the front, just to give us a little bit of richness in these colours, which are rich enough anyway. I'll show you the framing in a minute, but just to let you know that I've got a 1 second delay on here. You could do different settings, you can change that to that. Okay, so, and we've got single focus, single frame rather, and the white balance I've changed from, if you look at that, it looks quite blue, changed it to cloudy. That looks a lot better. There's also shade, which is even more colourful, but I kind of, cloudy kind of works. Obviously with a raw file you can change all that anyway. Now focusing is on the trunk of this tree, 6.7, 1.5 seconds, ISO 64. But I quite like this bit of light that's coming in the top here, if you can see that. So, and there we go. Look at the light in here. This is beautiful. And there's a lovely old oak tree. This has just got a bit of light kicking off it, which is beautiful as well. Really loving it in here. Another cracking image, I think. Again, getting rid of the sky is going to help. But we've got some lovely ferns, and there's so many different colours in here. Some silver birches, one's at an angle. This lovely old oak on the left. That is pretty much, well, you can't get a lot better than that, I don't think. That's absolutely wonderful. The colour in this is amazing. I might fill in some of the gaps with a little bit of Photoshop if there is any, but in actual fact I don't think it's going to make a great deal of difference. So we're going to focus on the oak tree itself. 5.6, 1 second. Shoot one of those, and I might shoot one with a slightly, oh that's beautiful, with a slightly bigger aperture, so that we've got a little bit more depth of field in this. So we're going to go down to f11, which means I've then got to adjust the shutter speed to make that longer. Oops, wrong way. Okay, to make sure the exposure is correct. So we're now on 3 seconds, but that doesn't matter. There's not a breath of wind in here, which is amazing considering we've had a couple of really big storms lately. And that looks fantastic. Really love it. The colours with the light shining through the side, it's just amazing. And silver birches look great as well. But the actual fact there's a little bit of light on this oak tree has made that even more wonderful. Right, let's see what else we can find. By the way, the mushrooms around here, I'm trying not to stand on them. There's an amazing abundance of mushrooms. And I was telling you about Chris. I'll introduce you to Chris in a moment. But we came in here years ago to photograph some mushrooms. Chris ran a little workshop, which I really enjoyed doing. And there are loads about today, loads. Right, let's go and do something else. Okay, let me introduce you to my very good friend. This is Chris Shepherd. Chris is mic'd up as well. First time I've tried that. Chris, what would you describe yourself as?
Landscape come cityscape photographer.
Okay, I did mention in the car that I said street. It's more cityscapes that Chris does. I love some of his stuff. Go and have a check out his website and his YouTube channel and all of that. And lovely forest you got here, bud.
Well, it's the best I could do.
Yeah, he's arranged with this lovely light for us and he's guided me through. And look at this lovely old oak tree. What were you saying about the reason they're this shape?
Oh, so they're lopped. Up until about 100 years ago, they would chop the top branches off for fuel or for resources that they could use within the forest. And so these trees are probably 300, 400, 500 years old, where the top branches have just been lopped off and grown back again, and then lopped off and grown back again. And
that would explain why they're really straight, I guess.
yeah, because they're
going straight up to the light.
Yeah. But this is what we see as the forest now is nothing like it would have been in the Victorian era, because in the Victorian era there just would have been lots of these stubby trees and none of these other trees about. It would have made it much more open, especially with the cows grazing and everything.
Great. If you look at my video, or actually if you see any of my videos from Flatford or Dedham, certainly the one I'm going to put up here, the hoarfrost one, I talked about pollarded willows, and they used to cut those because the straight willow branches were used for the thatch. It's kind of a similar idea, I guess, but it gives you this kind of knobbly trunk, which is really, really interesting. So we're going to photograph this in this lovely light. We're by the road actually, but it's so far out of the way you won't really see it. But the colours in here, as you can imagine, wonderful. Right, let me photograph that and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. Okay, so here's the shot of this lovely old tree. Really high, so that we don't get as much sky in as little sky as possible. And the light's coming from the left and it's just creating these lovely lines, and there's some shapes as well. And then we've got some light on the leaves which look great. And lots of depth to this, because as far as the eye can see there's silver birches, leaves, bracken. I'm using a wide open aperture though, so I'm on 5.6 focused on the main oak, because what I want to do is throw that background out of focus, because otherwise it detracts a little bit from the main subject, which is the main man, woman, tree. Beautiful, what a place. Right, I'll shoot this, I'll put this on the screen for you to have a look at. Another 65-24 crop, I reckon. As ever, woodland conditions here are just perfect. I mean, I was worried that we were going to get too many greens, but actually the green trees contrasting with the yellow and the reds and the oranges that have gone here just making this look amazing. And what we need above all is light, as you know, and the light today is great. I mean, it's completely clear blue sky up ahead, but it means that the light can pour into the forest. Silver birches, autumn colour, what more is there that you can need? Really, not a lot. There's some fallen silver birches. In fact, there's one to my right here which has completely fallen down in the last gales, I'd imagine. But some of these have been felled, but it's wet, they're damp, so they're glistening. And then we've got a nice old oak tree here on the left and some colour to the right. So again, another 65-24 crop. But again, I think it looks great. I don't really apologise too much for it. There's an oak tree right in the distance which I've just placed so that you can see it, so your eye might travel through it. I think it's going to look wonderful. Some silver birches the other side. The forest goes on for a long, long way, so really great stuff. Right, let me shoot this and I'll talk you through it. Okay, so that is trying to miss the branches of this tree on the left here. Move the camera over a little bit. We've got 50mm on here. So I normally go as telephoto as I can. A little bit wider actually, because I might want to catch the end of those silver birches. There's another trunk here, and then the colour on the right. The light is now lovely. It's gone in a little bit actually. Yeah, light's just gone a fraction. Must be a cloud or something. It's moved probably behind some leaves of some trees, but I did take one earlier, so it's going to look all right. But let's shoot this then. Again, I can see the crop in my head here. Let's just put that over just so I can visualise it. Yeah, looks wonderful. Quarter of a second, f6.7, 64 ISO. That's the picture. Right, let's put that up on the screen now. Call it a day. I've had a brilliant time. So I've seen this is my final picture. I love this 65-24 crop, don't I? And the picture's going to start from here and go over there, and I'll show you that in a second. So the camera's on portrait. We'll shoot a portrait, another portrait, and another portrait, overlapping them slightly, and then the software will then blend them all together. And the picture's going to have this lovely colour here, and then we've got this lovely pathway, a bench, which is great. You can see behind my camera, and then over here we've got a lovely old broken, I don't know what it is, but it goes into, it looks like a Loch Ness monster, goes into the soil, back out and around here, and there's silver birches and there's a path, and I think this will look really, really lovely as a pan. It will take a little bit of putting together, but definitely worth it. So I'm going to say that's the end of the first vlog. There'll be another one next Sunday at 6 o'clock, because we've only literally gone about 100 metres here and I've really enjoyed myself already. Had a great time. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. Tell your friends, share the video, etc, etc. Still looking for subscribers, so press that subscribe button, it will be great. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in, and I will see you next Sunday, 6 o'clock. Goodbye.